They are our desire for light, for stars, for rainbows, and for jubilant songs. Here composer Oliver Messiaen is describing the human connection to birds. My name is Alex Trainee, and for my presentation I have decided to analyze Messiaen's birdsong for flute, Le Merle Noir. Oliver Messiaen was born in France in 1908, and even as a child his life was shaped by war. During World War I, his father served in the war, and his mother and siblings moved to Grenoble, France. It was here that Messiaen joined the Roman Catholic faith, a practice that would inspire him throughout his life. In addition, Messiaen also took up piano and began to compose. When his father returned and took up a teaching position in 1919, Messiaen joined the Paris Conservatory at only 11 years of age. Messiaen grew in the conservatory, and through his experiences there he became interested in Eastern rhythm, birdsong, and microtonal music. He continued writing music and teaching until the start of the Second World War, where he enlisted in the French army. He was captured in 1940 and spent time as a prisoner of war. Among his fellow prisoners there was a violinist, a cellist, and a clarinetist. He composed a trio for them and later incorporated this work into his Quartet for the End of Time. Among other things, the quartet was one of the first of Messiaen's pieces to experiment with incorporating birdsong, which was to become a trademark. It was through this that the bird songs began to take wing. After the war, Messiaen resumed teaching in Paris and continued to compose. Messiaen wrote Le Merle Noir in 1951 to 1952 as a test piece for flutists who wished to enter the Paris Conservatory. Meaning the blackbird in French, Messiaen modeled this song after its call. While he had previously done a piano work featuring the blackbird, this song was the first to showcase the bird on the flute. The Merle Noir is also the first to be based entirely on the song of the blackbird. This song is divided into three sections, A prime, and B. Both the A and A prime sections can be divided into 6 additional subsections, which I've decided to label parts 1 through 6 for this discussion. These 6 parts are broken up depending on the voice that is playing, the relationship between the flute and piano, and the different melodies seen throughout. The opening A part begins with a piano introduction, and then shifts into the second part, which features the flute performing a bird song. The piano joins in with the flute in the third part labeled Almost Tender. The piano creates this feel through the gentle way the notes are sounded, and the softness pairs with the flute's soft tones. A fourth part featuring notes with greater leaps and octaves played between the piano hands. These octaves transition into a fifth part of chords, followed by a final part with the piano maintaining trilled notes while the flute plays shorter, vivid notes. Let's listen to the A section of this song. Following this section, the piece continues into A prime. This section continues with 6 parts, each structurally similar to their counterpart in the A section. However, each part of the A prime has subtle differences, such as ornamentation or extended or shortened melodies in some sections. Let's compare the two birdsongs from these sections. Here is the A birdsong. Now, here is the birdsong from A prime. Continuing on with the blackbird's song, the B section takes on a different feel than the previous sections. This section features both the flute and piano, both with a slightly edgier sound as the two fight for a dominant rhythm and sound. This edge comes from the sudden range changes the flute goes through, often in A going to a high G sharp, forming a major seventh. In addition, this section creates a sense of unsteady time as the flute part darts in and around the piano part inconsistently. This section could also be seen as an extension on the intensity of the part 6 from A and A prime. However, the continuous trills and short pecked notes are heard as soft when compared to B section's harsher approach. Now we will hear the beginning of the B section. One of the ways Messiaen stood out as a composer was through his highly personal style noted for its rhythmic complexity, rich tonal color, and uniquely harmonic language. In addition to the different themes seen in the song is the different tones seen throughout the piece. The opening mood is set with the piano ascending and then descending. However, the addition of the lower octave and pedal creates a dark and haunting feel. The flute also uses varying styles seen throughout the piece, creating different bird calls through use of flutter tone or use of dynamics. For example, the A section, measures 3 through 9, features the flute often going from forte to fortissimo, with a sudden change to piano immediately after. The idea of fast dynamic changes appears several places throughout the song, creating a call and response between the areas. Another way that Messiaen creates texture and develops the blackbird is through use of vibrato. In the first two sections of A and A prime, the flute has mostly shorter notes, 16ths or 32nd notes. Because of the short value, as well as the use of staccatos, the vibrato used in this section stands out from the rest of the call. However, the piece takes a slower 8th note feel in the third part, and vibrato becomes a constant at this time. This change also creates the change of mood and color of the birdsong from something related to birds chattering to something more relaxed and sweet. This song begins to take on more of a haunting feel as the notes change towards part 4, and this prepares us for the complete change we see in part 6, which features the short note values, this time with the piano sustaining trills throughout the section. While this song does not feature a set key or time signature, Messiaen's use of chromatic patterns develops the song. However, he believed in using certain chromatic notes and patterns, leaving some out to produce certain colors. Messiaen stated, "Color comes from a choice of chromaticism. If you play a cluster, you play all the notes at once, and there are no colors. You get gray or black. Colors are absent. To produce colors, you must suppress something." Finally, Messiaen proves himself a scholar with just how alike Le Merle Noir is to the natural sound of the blackbirds. Messiaen spent time carefully listening and recording the birds' calls, something not easily done. Of course, birds sing extremely fast. Once one phrase has been notated, the bird is already on to a second or subsequent phrase. Next, we will listen to a recording of blackbirds and compare them to various sections of Le Merle Noir, therefore relating to the music in another way. Listen to this section thinking of the various techniques Messiaen used in his song, flutter tonguing, dynamics, and even layering between the birds. Messiaen wrote this song following the end of World War II, after returning to the Paris Conservatory and once again resuming life after his hardships. Just like his love for religion and nature were founded through the effects of World War I, Le Merle Noir is affected through his life after the war, his own return to something beloved and hopeful. The blackbird is the ideal bird to represent his life after such a trial, due to their habit of singing after rain, or after the sun has come out and the trial ended. The blackbird is also arguably the most beautiful and best loved, as well as being the most familiar. Messiaen would have been familiar with the blackbird throughout his life, and its ability to resemble home and familiarity in the changing times of war. Finally, Messiaen's choice to compose this on the flute ties into a poem by William Henley, whose poems he may have been familiar with due to his mother. Henley's poem compares the blackbird's song to hope and the joys of life, and is a great way to end this video. The nightingale has a lyre of gold, the lark's is a clarion call, and the blackbird plays but a boxwood flute, but I love him best of all. For his song is all of the joy of life, and we're in the mad spring weather. We too have listened till he sang, our hearts and lips together. Thank you.